Happy Thanksgiving. I have something I am tremendously grateful for. My driver swing returned. Let's talk about a shaft comparison now that I can do it. Welcome back to the Golf Shop. Jim McCleary here, and this is about golf club repairs, reviews, and fittings. Also, your scores can go low. If you would, look across the bottom there, that umbrella, the subscribe, the like, hit all that stuff so you get more of this information as these videos come out. Again, if you would join us on Mondays at 17:30 or 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we have a live stream. It's called What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Talk about the same stuff from people with people from around the world. And lastly, and we'll stop doing a lot of this, is I have another YouTube channel called Pars and Pours. It's a golf-centric whiskey channel where we talk about golf and whiskey, okay? So all right, let's get to it. So my driver swing came back. A little bit of history. My driver swing failed me, and I just lost total confidence. It was a total mind game. I bought a mini driver, hit the living crud out of it, and I thought, well, what is going on? Well, then the mini driver failed. It just expounded more of what my problem was. So now I was down to hitting a hybrid in order to get out there. Now, honestly, I hit the hybrid pretty good, but you need to be able to hit the driver off the tee. It's just what it is. So in the last 2 rounds of golf I was playing, my buddy Bob came in. He says, hey, tilt your shoulder just a little bit. Maybe that'll help. And I didn't quite, it was a trust factor at this point. My mind was so jacked up, I just wasn't going to be able to hit a driver. Well, I started slowly forcing myself to hit the mini driver again so I could get it back out and play and do that. And the last 2 rounds of golf that I played, I started hitting it very well, right? And then at the end, I started, well, now I'm hitting this. I pulled out the regular driver, and all of a sudden, I'm hitting it. Fast forward about a month, I didn't touch another golf club. We were busy in the shop doing things like that. And I decided, you know what, now's the time. And I got up and got loose, and next thing you know, I am hitting a driver. Now, albeit, is it as far as I once hit it before? No, that's age, out of shape. And still there's probably a little doubt in there, but I'm getting much more, we'll say, much more comfortable with the driver again. So, because of that, we are going to do a shaft comparison. Now, I wanted to show you this in the beginning of the year. So True Temper has bought steel fiber. That's not a secret. Steel fiber is really known for their iron shafts. They're in play on the tour. They're everywhere. They've come out with a driver shaft that they're very excited about. And they have a black, which is this one, and they have a blue, and it's a much different color blue, okay? And what they've done is they've taken the butt section and used the steel fiber technology and placed it in there. And then the other end, they have used just regular graphite technology. Now, for those that may not know what steel fiber is, just what it is, there is a very minute, very thin steel fiber that runs through the golf shaft to give it a level of stability. Okay, a level of stability. Now, when we talk about that in iron shafts, we'll get back to drivers here in a minute. When we talk about that in driver shafts, stability is in the eye of the beholder. Now, in my opinion, the steel fiber shafts are very stiff in their profile. I don't have enough down pull to pull it around and make it go. They feel good when you make good contact, but that's true with every golf shaft. Now, there are other people that just absolutely love that. In my opinion, that the steel fiber in a lot of cases is made for the golfer with a pretty aggressive transition and a pretty late release or pretty aggressive release. So, i.e., a higher tempoed golfer. Okay, not somebody that's a gorilla, but somebody that's got a pretty good golf swing, or somebody that's a late releaser, but somebody that's a little bit higher than what we would call a smooth golfer. Well, the driver shaft is no different. Okay, this one it's called the 3K steel fiber, and what that means is there's more reinforcement at this particular end of the golf shaft than there is at this end, i.e. for a higher tempo person, a little bit lower ball speed, or I'm sorry, a little bit lower ball flight and a little bit less spin. This is one of those characteristic shafts. Now the idea is, does it feel better? And that's what we're going to talk about in a moment. Now, what are we comparing it against? It's another True Temper product under the Project X banner, and this one is the Denali. This one's off of my Callaway. This is the gray, but I figure it's pretty much like the black, right in the middle. So again, a 60-gram stiff shaft, and the Denali is in the same type of profile. It just doesn't incorporate the steel fiber windings in the butt section. So again, it is a much more stable butt section, and then this one has maybe just a tad more stable tip section. Maybe. I think they're very, very close personally. If you go look at the website and you see what they consider these things, they're very, very close. All right, the black here is very much right, it's smack dab in the center, spin, launch, the whole 9 yards, where the Nexus is maybe just a tick lower, okay? So what did I do? Well, I got in there, I got warmed up, and on my fitting system, I got warmed up, and we just started hitting golf balls, and it just felt good to hit golf balls. So we're going to go to the flight scope, and we're going to see how that worked out. Okay, first what we're going to do is we're going to review the Wilson driver with the Nexus black. All right, the Nexus Counterbalance Black. It is a 60-gram stiff shaft, and as we've already talked about its characteristics, so we know about that. So how did it perform? And what we're going to talk about here first is I am so thankful that my swing is allowing me to hit drivers again. Now, this looks awful to be sure. If we were to look at it, the trajectory here, that's pretty awful for a driver as far as dispersion goes, but considering I haven't hit a driver for almost an entire year, I will take this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to narrow this down somewhat, and we're going to show you how we're going to do it. So first and foremost, if we look at it, this driver, 237, 246 on average, with a swing speed of right around 100 and a smash factor at 140. There's the problem. That needs to be about 145. So getting started is I'll take all of this, and with a 2900 ball spin, that probably could come down as well. So how are we going to take some of these out? Well, let's go to here. All right, we're going to take out one, because I'd like 10, right? So we've got 10 here now. So we're going to go down to 5. So we're going to take out 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's go search those guys out and see if we can't find them. There's one. One, two, three, four, 5. And we'll get rid of this guy just as a number. Yeah, let's do that one. All right, so there's 5. And again, if you look, I got one wide left, one wide right, but then 3 in the middle. Welcome to being a normal golfer. If we go back and we look at the summary, now we're 243, 253, still at the same club head speed. Spin rate came down just a little bit, and the smash factor came up just a little bit. So now we're going to have a little bit of fun with this. So we're going to grab a whole bunch of different viewpoints that this thing can give us. All right, so we're going to have to go with this. We're going to have to go with the double view. And so here we're going to go look for the double view of this. And if we look at it, we see it's pretty well distributed around. The average was up there in the 240 to 250 range. And I will tell you that you could tell that the butt section was a little bit firmer, but it did get through the club, and it actually enjoyed hitting it. It was a lot of fun getting back into it. Okay, so as far as height goes, I wasn't messing around as far as height goes. Anywhere from that's pretty tall for me. I'm normally down in this neck of the woods, so all of a sudden my little change is allowing me to get up in there. So we need to remember, with a high of just of 108 with a low of right around 70, 74, 75 to 75 to 108. Okay. So now we're going to get out of this one, and we are going to go and get another one. All right, let's start backwards. Now these are 15 swings we got here. I've got to go get rid of a few, so let's go back and we'll do it a different way here. Matter of fact, let's do it. Let's go here. All right, so let's get started with this one. Now this one was the Denali shaft, and it was S-Flex, same weight, using a Callaway Elite driver. Now, if you see the tightness here is extraordinarily, for 15 shots, that's pretty tight, right? And so there's something to be said about dispersion front to back, but it also is about 5.1 with all these. I bet this goes down a little bit, and in order to see that. So we're going to fast forward this. You're going to see me, and I'm going to get rid of a bunch here for the 5. So let's get started. Okay, now we're down to the 5. You can see I kept this one wide to the right just as a reminder that I am not that good, because I could have taken it out and it would have looked really, really tight, and it would have been a less than adequate or less than accurate example of what was going on. But as a whole, as you can see, this particular club was much more tight in its dispersion aspect, except for that one that was wide right. And if we go back, and again, front to back, like we talked about, was just a hair less, okay, a hair less. If we look at it from a different point of view, and we get that, it also, the perspective of it is not near, I mean, you got this one and it would be nice and tight. So what do we look at now? If we look at it from a summary here, 236, 248, so just a hair shorter, swinging just a hair faster, and the spin rate just about the same. But the quality of hit was just a little bit lower. So you need to find the middle of the club face, basically. And that's what we're trying to find here. There we go. Now on this one, I can find them all. So I can give you this kind of information. So on this particular setup, if we look at it, we have where everything landed, how everything flew, what we look like on our paths, and then what we look like right here. There, if we do like that, we give you all of those, and then let's give you a better, what would we like to have up here? I say, let's put, did that one? Oh, let's put that one. There we go. All right, so that's even better. So this is how the flight scope works for me when we're doing a fitting. And so we're seeing how we shot, and then we see where we landed on the club face. It talks about from the center, and you can see all the different numbers that you get for that. And then you get to see how we're swinging. I will say the consistency is not too bad. I do have a bit of an outside or a pulling. It's not too bad going back, but man, do I got a pull shot going out there, and it's funny, I must be keeping the club face open. And then we have that set up for right there. So what did we find? Well, we found that the first shaft went a little bit further because I was hitting it a little bit better. As far as the way that it reacted, and if we go up into the corner here and we look at how the club reacted, and we look at all our shots, you see how this goes up. That's a tremendous fish hook, which means somewhere about 10 inches before the ball, the club stopped accelerating, and that's the guy at the end of the club, not in this particular instance, because I looked at the other one and it looks just exactly like this. Now, what would be really neat is to find out what that one was. So let's look for that one. It's that one right there. It's the wide right one. So the one that's not in comparison, that's the one that's off to the right. All right, so we got to show you a little bit about what the flight scope does, and we've also got to show you different shafts, but very similar in profile will do. So let's go back and talk about it some more. Okay, so not too bad, right? It worked out. You know, I'm not killing it by any shape of the imagination. A 240 shot, 250 shot is pretty good for me. I had one up to 260, and that was just hitting it on the screws. And I think that's really kind of the problem here right now, is that I got to get my contact in a better spot. If I get in a better spot, the ball's another 10 yards further, and that's self-evident, right? So what did we think? Well, the Nexus, exactly what you would think. Very, very stable club. I just apparently did not have enough to bring it all the way around. The butt section is very, very stable, and because of the way it's built, I actually got a little bit more feel out of the golf club. Okay, now I was using the Wilson LS, which is a phenomenal little driver, in order to get the results that I get. Now it does play to a bias, I believe, to the open, which for me is going to be the left. But it didn't feel bad. It just, if you like getting that sensation of, hey, I knew I was off by a little bit, this is the golf shaft for you. Again, made for a guy that pulls down a little bit harder, maybe releases a little bit less or closer to the ball than most, because as you saw, I wasn't getting anywhere near close. I'm just happy about that. So, and then what do we think about the Denali? I like the feel of this one. This one felt a little bit softer. Now, not as in profile, but it muted the way that when you hit something, it muted it. It wasn't as, we'll say, as sharp as the Nexus shaft was. And what does that mean? Well, that just means that, again, it was a stable butt profile, and again, a stable tip or midsection on this one. And it allowed me to be a little bit more consistent, as we saw. Now that could be had to do something with the head, but we're going to take that out of contention. This one basically fit me just a little bit better, and I think it just felt the feeling was softer, not the profile, but the feeling was softer. When I say muted, meaning that when I got one that was off center, it didn't rattle the club much like it did with the Nexus. But you can't, you really can't argue with results. A little bit slower, hit a little bit better, it went a little bit further with the Nexus shaft versus the Denali, with the Denali shaft, and we're talking ticks. Now, if I come back tomorrow and do it again, the roles very well may be reversed. So there's something to consider. So what do you do when you're considering a golf shaft? Well, it's not just a golf shaft. It's a golf shaft and golf head combination, all right? So this is me getting on my soapbox for fitting. Boom. So when you go and get fit, length is very, very important. You just grab these long clubs and you go. If you tend to choke down, unless you're 7 foot tall or you're something, or very, very short, most chances are that that club is just too long. All right, so number one, get fit for length. Length will turn into quality of hit. Quality of hit means control. You get better results of that. Now, after you get that, then we start talking about weight, profiles, and flexes. And those are the things that you do. So I get a lot of requests, hey, I need a shaft fitting. Well, no, you need a driver fitting, meaning so that you can marry up that driver head that you have in your possession into a shaft that will actually work very, very well for you. And we talk about how the club accelerates through the ball, and you saw the graphs. We give you the data where it's at, and it shows up like that. And you very, very, very well may come out surprised. All right, you come out surprised that that latest and greatest super whammy dime shaft that you just saw on TV may not be that one, and something else would be better. And that's the reason why you need to go get fit. Go get fit with somebody certified. That's somebody that can show you the data so that you understand why that you hit it all. All right, so there it is. Again, this is one of those, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being part of the McGolf family. Thank you for bearing with me this year with no driver reviews, no driver fittings, no nothing, because I couldn't do it for you. And now at the turn, we're here in the silly season. We're getting new products in. We're going to see new stuff that we can get some better reviews in for you in the upcoming years. So again, thank you very much. Hit that like and subscribe. Join us on my other channel. And as always, let's see your scores go low.